Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and high. Whoop, Mr. Montgomery, coffee spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fueled by Deathcast, the show. It's episode 70, and we're at a brand new time.
I just realized something, Jeff.
What's that?
You start off every show, almost every show, with your hands in the air. My thought is start off the next show with your hands not in the air, but do the rest of the show with your hands in the air.
Tune in next week for my arms to get tired. No, we wanted to let you guys know if you guys are fans of the show and tuning in now at our new time in prime time here, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're trying something different. We've been pushing this show out now for a couple months at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Wednesday, which has done well.
Yeah, it's done great, but we understand that you guys are usually up to something. One of those things usually being work.
Yeah.
Or if you're on the West Coast, maybe sleeping still.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of make it easier for you to watch us. I mean, I even see our regulars pop on like, oh, my boss was looking for a while, so I couldn't watch. And we just want to make it convenient for you guys.
So we're going to give this a shot for a couple weeks. We're going to do it at 7 p.m. now Eastern Standard Time. For a couple weeks, see how well it works, and we might play around with it. Might go maybe an hour earlier, an hour later, or something. We want your feedback, though, so let us know. And the best way to let us know is to follow us. First, you got to know who we are. I am the incredible Jeff.
I'm Dustin. Onward.
That's it?
Yeah, no, onward.
That's it? He's the amazing D-Man. Don't let him fool you. But you can follow us on social media. We're really, really active on Instagram. We're getting better at Twitter. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us. Let us know your feedback on our brand new time. I am Jeff Wish Coffee on all those platforms.
And I am Death Wish Dustin, and if you have a complaint, give it to Jeff, because I'm not going to listen to it.
That's the truth. And for all of our new viewers out there, if this is your first time at the show, this is how it goes down. If you're watching this live, you're going to share this feed and comment shared in those comments below or on the side or however you're watching it, and you'll be entered for a chance to win this mug. It's the 2017 Death Wish mug.
I'm really surprised we got a few of these kicking around. I think this came off of our shelf directly, right?
This came off of our shelf directly, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the first run when they were a little bit smaller. Before they came out again, because like we released in the very beginning of 2017 and they were this size, and then we got a couple ounces bigger and released them again.
Right.
Because this is stamped 2016 on the bottom. So I think that's the original. But this is sold
Did
out.
look a little extra small.
You cannot find this. This is our 2017 Death Wish Coffee mug. One winner at the end of this will be chosen in the comments, and we will send this out to you, signed by Demon and myself. Can't beat it. It's that easy. Just share and comment shared in those comments. We start every single show by thanking our good friend Brock Powell.
BrockVox.com.
That's it. He is the voice actor behind all the voices on this show, including 1,000 other voices out there in the world. For years, he was the Kool-Aid man. Every time you heard, oh yeah, that was Brock. But I mean,
I saw a great picture on Instagram of him
busting through a real wall. Yeah, it's the best.
It's great.
He is gonna be blowing up this year with the amount of stuff his voice is connected to. So go on over to BrockVox.com. Check out all the cool things that he's doing. Follow him on social media. Love Brock to death.
Yeah.
And we also shout out the incredible company, Black Magic Design. They create all the technology that we use to make this show look as good as it sounds. We put this show out audio as well, but we've gotten into the video game, and we couldn't do it without some of this incredible technology to the left of me here from Black Magic Design.
I've seen a lot of shows that go live online like we do, but they're giant productions.
Yes.
They're giant. I think of
They have huge television studios.
Yeah,
and
they got like multiple camera angles. Listen, we're just a couple chumps with a few pieces of equipment.
We're in a room by ourselves. There's nobody working all this stuff over here.
Nobody. There's a closed door, a couple people behind that closed door shouting about a ping pong game.
That's true.
But in here, it's just me and Jeff. I work this board and the Zoom. We have our Shure mics, but really the magic is Black Magic Design right behind us. They do an amazing job. You think they'd be paying us for saying nice things like this.
Maybe someday.
At Jeff Wish Coffee, at Death Wish Dustin. You can write a check or a mailing order. It'd be fine.
I take cash.
You can send straight cash.
I like
you can
cash.
roll those dice. That's fine. But seriously, it usually, when you see shows this quality, it's a giant production. But we've been able to pull it off with a very few pieces of slightly inexpensive equipment. We work with a pretty tight budget, and we're able to achieve an HD Facebook Live show
for you guys,
and it's seriously it's that awesome equipment over there.
It really is. So thanks to that company.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
This week, if you use the discount code on deathwishcoffee.com, the discount code is guitar. Jeff, spell it.
GUITAR.
That will nail you 15% off of our Stanley Master Bottle. This bad boy right behind us. Honestly, I don't think they made a black thermos before this, and we were like, make a giant black thermos, and we will buy it, Stanley. And they made it. We laser etched this son of a bitch, and it looks badass. And man, whew, here's a lifetime warranty on this thing. It can take a beating.
It really can. And you can't beat the actual discount we're giving you all the way till next Wednesday, April 18th. You type in that code guitar, you get 15% off this. That's a pretty sizable discount.
And that will go until Wednesday, April 18th. So take advantage of it now, or else you will lose out on this awesome deal, and we're just not going to do it again, probably.
And we did a little commercial when we released this. I'm going to play for you guys now. We put this thing through the ringer because Stanley is just like us. We always say that we're the world's strongest coffee, and there is a ton of stuff out there to back up our claim. And Stanley always says, built tough. They are guaranteed for life. And you buy this, you'll have it for the rest of your life. We wanted to know just how tough it was, so Dustin and myself, we put it through the ringer for you guys. And here's that video. The new Death Wish Coffee Stanley Thermos. Just how strong is it? Will it survive a fall? A fall from up high? How about being run over? Can it withstand 1,500 pounds of coffee? Can it withstand a swing from the War Club? The new Death Wish Coffee Stanley Thermos. Strong enough to contain the world's strongest coffee.
By the way, that's legit. We hit that thing with a full-blown War Club, filled it with coffee, and used it, and it still worked. It's still fine. It has a little dent on it. But
still works.
Yeah, it's still
you can't get the cup on it anymore, but you can still use the cup.
It's still a fully functional thermos, which is pretty insane. I whacked that thing pretty hard.
Yeah.
That thing went like 30 feet.
And we ran it over 4 times because we never got the shot right. So yeah. It's awesome, guys. So guitar this week, 15% off on this guy all week long.
Jeff, tell them why it's guitar.
That is because we got the incredible opportunity to talk to musician, guitarist, composer, Dave Kushner. And you probably know Dave Kushner as the rhythm guitarist of the supergroup Velvet Revolver. And I got a chance to see Velvet Revolver when they were still performing, and it was one of the coolest live performances.
I mean, it's such a giant super group. When it came out, it was hard to believe that these guys were actually coming together. And I mean, I remember when they announced it, all I could think of is, man, I hope the music is good.
Right.
And it was killer.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see them live, but I've heard good things.
Yeah.
They just absolutely crush. And
I mean, Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses, Scott Weiland from SDP, and of course Dave. And Dave is an alum of an old school band as well named Wasted Youth. And if you are a fan of this show, you can go on back and listen to our interview with drummer Joey Castillo, who is also an alum of that incredible old school punk band. But Dave has played with tons of musicians and bands. We talk about all that, and we talk about how he got into the composing side. He's composed music for TV and film, most notably getting an Emmy nomination for outstanding title music for the co-writing the theme of Sons of Anarchy.
Which, if you know anything about Sons of Anarchy, half that fucking show is the theme song. I swear to God, right?
Yeah.
Riding through this world all alone. That's Dave Kushner.
Yeah.
Which is awesome that we got to talk to him.
Yeah.
And he gave us the rundown of what he's up to, what he has done in the past, some nice juicy stories about Velvet Revolver, which we have never gotten to hear on the face of this planet until this very podcast. So tuck in. Here's a little clip for you to enjoy, but tomorrow we are releasing this podcast, and you do not want to miss it, especially if you're a fan of rock and roll. This is certainly a legendary conversation we had with a legendary individual.
Right, here's a sneak peek.
The Fueled by Death guest.
And I think we saw a little bit of that in Velvet Revolver with Scott, and he kind of seemed like Duff really reached out and was that guy for him, and it really seemed to work out eventually with Velvet Revolver. Can you talk a little bit about, like, I don't know, it seemed like there was a lot of drama tied up with first off with this band, but it looks like it kind of like became like this really awesome thing. What was it like to be part of that roller coaster?
Well, you know, I mean, fuck, it changed my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was, I mean, up until that point, you know, I'd played in Wasted Youth with Joey. That's how I got in Danzig. When I was in Danzig, you know, I was in the Love Hogs. But for me, at that point, it was always, you know, I was in a band. We got a record deal. We didn't, you know, we could kind of sustain. We'd go on a tour. We'd tour for, you know, 9 months, and then it would be done. Like, whatever. The record would get dropped or, you know, this or that. And then I'd have to just work, you know, and I used to, like, build sets and stuff. And basically, but on set. And then another thing, and then, you know, until that point, you know, like I was playing with Duff. They started the band kind of with the two guys from Buck Cherry. That wasn't working out. Duff called me. He's like, dude, you should learn these songs. They had like 8 songs, originals. And you should learn these, dude, because I think we're going to, you know, split from the guitar player like next week. I was like, all right, cool. And mind you, you know, for me, it was easier, I think, than a lot of guys because I've known Slash since I was 13 years old. Like, we went to junior high school, we went to high school together, we knew each other, we had out, you know, we'd gone to parties together, we had, you know, done stuff together. You know, Duff, I was playing in one of his bands at the time. Scott I'd known since 1989 because our bands would play. Like, that band I was in, Electric Love Hogs, was playing little clubs with Mighty Joe Young, which became Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
So I saw Scott the day he got signed to Atlantic, and I remember him telling me, like, dude, I just got a record deal, and it's on Atlantic Records, and it's, like, not a lot of money, but it's going to be fucking awesome. And, but, like, so, like a kid, you know? And so I'd known Scott forever, and, you know, we'd been friends. So when I came into it, it was like, so Duff calls me the next day after he'd give me the song. He's like, dude, I just fired the guitar player. You got to come down tomorrow. I was like, what?
Whoa.
You know, like, fuck, dude. And this was, mind you, you know, there was no singer at this point. And so I came down and, you know, I just, I don't know. I just did my thing and I never left. They never tried anyone else out. And then, you know, at that point we just started working. Like, we would literally rehearse 5 days a week, writing songs and looking for singers. And we did that for 10 months before we found Scott.
Wow.
Science!
All right, D-Man. So science this week. One of those little those things that I find in a science magazine where I'm like, ooh, it's on Earth and not in space, because we spend so many different science segments in space. Yet this one is directly connected to space.
Oh.
So, just kidding. Even though it's on Earth.
Wait, I'm confused. You just
Yeah,
that was a roller coaster, Jeff.
I'll get you there.
All right.
Scientists
Jerk.
have harvested the first crops from the Antarctica greenhouse.
Oh, I
And-
get it. So they're testing growing stuff
Yep,
in an inhabitable
you got it.
environment.
You got
Jeff,
it.
You got
You
me
got
there.
it. No. This is called EDEN-ISS, and it is a 4-year project to test the ability to create crops in a harsh environment without soil or sunlight. And it was created in 2015, and in October of last year, October of 2017, it was moved to the German Neumayer 3 station in Antarctica. And scientists have now grown their first batch of vegetables and harvest them. They have gotten 3.6 kilograms or 8 pounds of produce. That's salad greens, 18 cucumbers, and 70 radishes.
And they look good,
They
too.
look perfect. And
Yeah.
straight from the scientist's mouth, they taste good too.
Yeah.
These veggies were all grown without earth, daylight, or pesticides in a fully self-sufficient greenhouse container. With conditions outside dropping below 20 degrees Celsius.
Whoa.
That's 4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep.
The project aims to cultivate produce in harsh climates. Astronauts successfully grew greens on the International Space Station, and the German Aerospace Center, DLR, which coordinates with this project, says the Antarctic project aims to grow a more diverse variety of food for future manned missions to the moon and to Mars, which we've talked about both of those a lot lately on this show.
Yeah, and this is something we're kind of just getting into. I imagine once we run a few more experiments, once we make a couple more genetic modifications in the food, I'm sure this is a wild success. We're going to be able to do this.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. And this is kind of a little breakdown of how it happens. In this greenhouse, pipes supply sufficient water, lamps provide the right light, the red and the blue spectrum there, and filters and nozzles provide the right mixture of air and carbon dioxide to promote growth. Large water tanks are installed in the floor and filled with melted, filtered, and purified ice from the station. Now, this isn't even in my notes, but this is very important because
They're getting the water from the environment.
correct. And a couple episodes ago, we had famed astrophysicist Dr. Michio Kaku on the show, and he was talking when we make it to Mars, one of the first things we're going to have to do is cultivate the polar ice caps of Mars, because that's going to be our best source of water.
Yeah.
So this is already proof positive that we can take that and turn it into food, which is amazing.
So the water's already there, and we can cultivate it.
Right.
So it's like things are lining up here, people.
Right. Water is then added to a special nutrient solution that is automatically sprayed on the plants every 5 to 10 minutes, and this is a process called aeroponics.
Kind of like hydroponics.
Yes.
But
Aeroponics. Bottles of carbon dioxide were shipped along with this container to provide the plants with the ideal air that they could get, and then the air is then filtered by a UV radiation system similar to the closed-circuit system that's currently on board the International Space Station.
Okay, so like they already have this equipment to do this kind of thing.
Correct.
Ah, wow.
It's really, really exciting. And I have a video breakdown here that is an animation of exactly what is happening in the Antarctic right now, and it'll give you an idea of how we'll be able to utilize this maybe on the moon or on Mars. So that's pretty cool. It breaks down what it is, and it shows you that it's not just, the Germans working on it or the Americans working on it. It's the whole world. All these scientists are working on it for relatively low cost, and all of those components can be put onto rockets and then reassembled on the moon or on Mars.
Well, it makes me think back to when we had our guest astronaut Nicole Stott, and she was talking about the ISS being like a little control system of all these countries working together for a greater good.
Yeah.
And that's a piece of what you're seeing here, which is amazing. And we're just going to kind of, what do I want to say? Kind of make this a more efficient process as we go along. And it's relatively uncomplicated as far as these things go, and relatively inexpensive as far as these things go.
Yes.
So it's very realistic. It's we can do this.
Yeah.
But my question is to you, Jeff. If you had to pick 3 plants that you had to eat the whole time that you were on Mars, what 3 plants would those be?
I mean, I almost would pick the ones that they did on this trial run. Salad greens, cucumbers, and radishes. I'm happy with that.
Really? You could eat that?
I could eat that. That's a good salad. Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
See, I'm not much into... First of all, I'm not much into radishes.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think salad greens is like, well, it's not really going to fill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of leaves.
It's true.
I would have to go with broccoli,
Mm-hmm.
carrots, and potatoes.
Now, see, I was thinking carrots and potatoes too, but I wonder how you grow something like that in an aeroponics kind
Right, because it's a root vegetable.
Yeah.
Which actually may even take more water than the other vegetables that they're growing. Who knows?
Could be a whole different type of carrot and potato, which would be really, really neat. I mean, radishes are a root vegetable too, so they did that.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
It's interesting. Another interesting thing that we're working towards is that a lot of these components we wouldn't have to put even on rockets and bring them up to space, because a technology that is becoming very accessible now and is very, very easy to use is 3D printing. So a lot of those components, like the flower beds and the pipes and the air filtration systems, we can print those on the moon or on Mars as soon as we just set up a printer up there.
And that technology is getting better every day.
Every day.
I remember watching, it was, I can't remember the name of it. It's Mars in it, and we've talked about this before, where it was like a realistic fictional series of what it would be like to colonate Mars.
I believe it was called Mission to Mars. It was a recent National Geographic program that was put out a couple years ago. Yeah, and it was amazing because it's fiction. It was about these astronauts that made it to Mars and then had to deal with the trials and tribulations of setting up the colony and all that stuff. But it was intercut with actual scientists today talking about the science behind what the fiction that we're watching.
Yeah.
Which is really neat.
It was really neat, but a lot of that had to do with 3D printing.
Yes,
which is like, I mean, that's a relatively new discovery. It's definitely relatively new as far as like how far that technology has progressed the last, 5 years. I did a little bit of this.
Totally.
And, I used to be a dental lab technician.
Yeah, and you did a little bit of that.
My specialty was 3D CAD/CAM designing.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, these machines can produce teeth that looked better than anything that we could make by hand. And in like a fraction of the time, and in the end, a fraction of the cost. It's pretty impressive stuff. It has changed the technology world upside down.
Yeah. Well, the results of these tests are going to continually be looked at. We're going to continue to try and grow more and more stuff in this EDEN-ISS for the next couple of years. The project ends in 2019, but it coincides with us going back to the moon and putting more of a base on the moon and then subsequently on Mars. So hopefully everything that we learn from this will then be immediately ported to being able to be used in space. And the results look so promising that by May, only a month away, scientists say they are expecting a full operation of the container greenhouse with a harvest of up to 4 to 5 kilograms of fruits and vegetables every week. So if you take that idea and times it by 100 or 500 or 1,000, think of banks of these on Mars or on the moon or something like that. They could provide sustenance for an entire civilization.
And we're still in the thought pattern of a giant little one. A bunch of little ones,
right?
But what about a giant one that would just a giant growing facility that would produce a a really sustainable amount of food right on site.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. Finally, I just want to make everyone aware that this picture that is behind us is one of the flowers that they grew on the International Space Station, which is a feat in itself because, I mean, it's just so cool to see life growing in an environment where, at least to us, life should not be able to exist.
Pretty intense.
It's pretty intense.
What fuels you?
All right, so this week on the podcast coming out tomorrow, we talked to musician and composer Dave Kushner. And out of all the cool rock and roll stories we talked about and all the amazing things that he's done in his career, we also got to the question we ask every week, what fuels you? And I loved his answer. He talked about how he really feels a connection to those around him and this is the way he put it, being of service to those around you and those you come in contact with. You feel good by helping and inspiring people. And I mean, what better thing to fuel you in life, right?
I mean, it's pretty much being a good team member.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, out of experience, to me, that's the most fulfilling feeling when you're working with somebody and you're getting shit done.
Yes.
Because, getting stuff done by yourself, while that feels good and all, working with a team to create something out of the greater good it's pretty awesome feeling. And especially, you always have that interaction with somebody, and if you get along with them well, and if you like them well, and you're high-fiving each other, and that's the stuff that really gets my blood boiling. I love it.
Yeah, and I think it goes even farther by saying, without going the route, and it kind of is this route, but without going the route of just be a good person, but be a good person. He talks about it as, in every situation he wants to either help or inspire. And so therefore that makes him feel better about himself and his surroundings and the people that he surrounds himself with. And it also makes him just feel better, just be a better person. And I think that's, even as easy as that sounds, that's tough. Some days you have a bad day. Sometimes you don't feel like a people person. I get it. I'm the same way. But you dig down deep, especially if you have to be, around other people or working with other people. It can mean all the world. I'm thinking of this example, and this is kind of in the same vein of talking of musicians. You might have heard this story. Have you heard the Dave Grohl Pantera story?
No.
Okay, so this is completely true. Dave Grohl's talking about how when the Foo Fighters started, they were trying just to play everywhere. They're this new band. He really didn't want to be billed as the guy from Nirvana starts a band. He wanted to strike out of his own and be a rock band, and they were trying to play everywhere. So they got thrown on this huge festival in Europe with tons of rock and metal acts, right? And they got put on stage directly before Pantera.
Oof.
So
That's a big shoe to fill.
So he's immediately nervous because, it's like, here's a brand new band. They're a little heavy. Their first album was pretty heavy, but not Pantera heavy. And everybody who's at that front of that stage at that festival has been waiting there for 2 hours, so they got a good spot for when Pantera gets on stage.
Like, hurry up and get done so we can see Pantera, asshole.
Right. So they play the show, and Dave looks to the side of the stage, and he sees Dime and Vinny from Pantera kind of standing off the side of the stage, like watching their set, which immediately made him feel good, but it was just like, okay, I think this will be
nervous.
all right. Yeah. They got through their set. People liked them because Foo Fighters are awesome.
They're awesome.
And the show ended, or the festival basically, was still going, but Foo Fighters and Pantera was done. And Dave was kind of wandering around backstage, and Pantera was all partying in their little green room area. And Dimebag Darrell went out of his way to come out and welcome Dave and the rest of Foo Fighters in to hang out with them.
Whoa.
And Dave remembered how gracious he was because on the surface, he was a fan of the band Pantera and thought, hey, these guys are a bunch of metal guys who probably only like metal guys, and what are they going to do with, anybody else? But immediately, Dimebag was just like, hey, come on in. You guys want a shot? You want to hang out? Let's listen to, some random music. And it stuck with him forever. And Dave talks about it in lots of interviews about how changed him as a person. So when he's out on the road, he tries to be accessible and inspiring and good to those around him, even if they're not in the same musical genre, even if they're not, if you've never met them before.
It doesn't take much if you're in that position to create a giant moment for somebody.
Right.
That says a lot.
It does.
And we have a lot of those moments in our life, and it's almost like you can imagine the devil on one shoulder being like, don't worry about it, do your thing, be a rock star, and the angel on the other shoulder being like, hey man, invite him in.
Right.
Be a cool guy.
Right.
You have this opportunity. If you have an opportunity to put out a little effort to be a cool guy for somebody that could use it.
Mm-hmm. Or girl. Cool
or girl.
Girls are cool.
Do it. Do it. Step outside
Yeah.
your comfort zone to make a better situation for somebody who could use it.
To boil it down again, the way he put it was be of service to those you come in contact with. And you don't have to give them the shirt off your back and the money in your wallet. You want to go that far, go right ahead. But I'm not talking about everybody becoming, the saint that they should be.
No, but I think there's this underlying mentality that if you start hanging out and doing things for people who are technically under you, that will lower you. That is not the case.
Right.
It is actually the opposite. You will become even cooler, and usually those people will end up surpassing you at some point because you're not always the top dog no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, and those working hard below you will eventually surpass you, and they'll remember those moments where you stepped back to bring them in.
Yeah.
And like I said, it doesn't take much, but those moments mean a lot. I think that's a great story with Dave Grohl and Pantera. A great analogy for life.
Yeah.
Even it's almost like a big brother situation.
Totally.
Where it's and a lot of people can use those moments in life.
For sure.
I don't care who you are. A moment like that will make you go, oh, life is good.
Mm-hmm.
Life is good, and I can do better, and now I'm inspired. And you at some point in your life will have that opportunity for somebody, and that,
it's all paying it forward. It's all keeping that cycle alive.
I can remember so many moments in my life.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking of times that I was being bullied.
Uh-huh.
And somebody had it's one particular moment. I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my biggest bullies was my older brother, and
Aren't they all?
Yeah, but he would get the other bullies in my high school to pick on me. And then when he left, he wasn't there to kind of restrict them from picking on me too hard. And it actually started to get out of hand at one point. And I'll never forget this one moment. And her name was Angel.
Shout out to Angel.
I don't quite remember her last name. But I was getting picked on pretty hard. And I remember she came up behind these guys and took one of them by the neck and smashed them. And she was like, "Go, Dustin, go!" And I was like, "Thank you, Angel." It was, but I'll never forget that moment where she did that for me. And actually after that, I think they stopped picking on me because she was the cute girl. Yeah. And they might have been ashamed of themselves at that point. But she was I was below her.
Yeah.
And she stepped out of her way to bring me through that situation.
Positively influence the people around you.
And I will never, I mean, this was, I was probably.
A million years ago.
This is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still in the forefront of my memory. I still remember every look on everybody's face exactly where we were, the time of day. It's so vivid. And those moments mean a lot to people. You may not even realize it or hear about it later.
Yeah.
But you're that's a giant way to make a positive impact on the world.
Yes, for sure.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Community shout out.
This one's a good one.
All right, it is a good one. Another one you found, D-Man,
Yeah.
so you shout him out.
All right. Coach Mike Perry.
There it is.
This guy's a badass. I take a lot of training tips from this guy. He trains a lot of top echelon MMA fighters, but he's also a lot about functional strength and realistic goals and ideas about dieting and exercise. And, he covers a lot on the small important things that all these big time trainers are going to forget about. So I'm a personal fan of this guy. I take a lot of tips from him, but I also see that he drinks a lot of Death Wish coffee. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to shout out this very important trainer.
And you were telling me he trains fighters too, right?
Yeah. There's definitely a few UFC fighters that are doing quite well that he trains. But a lot of these strength conditioning guys we're finding out are really, really important, especially for the lifespan of a fighter as far as like dealing with not getting injured. And a lot of that is strengthening these tiny little things that you just don't think about. And this guy's a badass.
He's the owner of the Skill of Strength Gym, and I've been showing you guys a little bit as we've been talking. But like you said, Dustin, a lot of his Instagram feed, which you can find at Coach Mike Perry, he has a lot of tips and advice for people working out, especially with the fighting mentality. And this was a fun video about kettlebells that I found that I thought was cool.
Oh, stop. Wait, Jeff, you said kettlebells, didn't you?
Kettlebells. Kettlebells.
You said kettlebells.
Did I say kettlebells?
You said fucking kettlebells.
Here's a fun video about kettlebells or bells or whatever you want.
Jesus, Jeff.
It's time to cut through the BS when it comes to using kettlebells for combat sports, right? So I see a bunch of videos out there with guys using a 10 or a 12 kilogram kettlebell, and they're doing these circuits and they're doing these flows and they're doing all this fancy stuff. Guys, that's not going to help you on the mats, okay? But you know what will help you? Mastering the basics and getting really damn strong. So what do I mean by that? Well, here are some basic goals or standards you should aim for, okay? Get to the point where you can do a get up with a 48 kilo kettlebell, all right? Get to the point where you can perform sets of 10 one-arm swings with a 48 kilo bell. Add in some double kettlebell front squats, right? If you can perform a set of 10 double kettlebell front squats with double 28s or double 32s, that's going to be a game changer. And lastly, get to the point where you can perform a snatch test. That's 100 reps with a 24 kilo kettlebell in under 5 minutes. If you can do that, it will absolutely carry over onto the mats. Get after it.
You're right. It's kettlebells, not kettleballs.
I know it's not kettleballs, Jeff. I hope you're sufficiently embarrassed.
I'm not. Coming up next week is Deathwish Coffee kettlebells.
Oh my God. I'm embarrassed for you.
Oh man.
Scooch over. I'm sorry, Coach. I'm sorry he said that.
Well, shout out anyways to Coach Mike Perry this week. Community shout out. And we've got some birthdays this week, and some fun birthdays actually. So some old, some youngs, some people we're connected to. And first up, on Thursday, April 12th, I love being able to shout out people that have made it this far in life. Author Beverly Cleary is going to be 101 on Thursday. That is crazy. She is a celebrated children's author. I don't know if you've ever heard of her books, but they're everywhere. That's including Ramona and Beezus, those books. Also the Henry Huggins series of books. She even wrote, you remember the old 60s television series, Leave It to Beaver?
Yeah.
She wrote books based on that show when that was in its heyday.
Weird.
She tons of credit to her name. 101. One of the most.
Have you had any family members make it past 100?
No, although my great-grandmother made it to, I want to say 98 or 99,
wow,
close. Yeah.
They get a letter from the president.
Whoa!
Signed by the president congratulating them on their age.
Well, I'm very sorry for Beverly to get a letter from the president. Moving on, we have two awesome birthdays on Friday, April 13th. Friday the 13th birthdays.
Oh, no.
Two awesome ones. First up, World Series champion. That's two-time World Series champion, Hunter Pence with the San Francisco Giants. This guy is so much fun to watch play baseball.
He looks like a crazy person.
He is crazy, but he also can do some crazy stuff when it comes to playing the sport of baseball. He also is from Houston, and he decided, you know what I love? I love coffee shops, and I love games, and I love video games, and I love comic books, and I want to put them all together. So he got a hold of probably the best guy to get a hold of. That is Mr. Ming Chen, friend of the Shared Universe right here, Shared Universe podcast studio. And they opened up Coral Sword down in Texas there, and it is all those things.
Bit of a size difference, huh?
Yeah, a little bit of a size difference. One of them is a 2-time a World Series champion, and the other one is not.
one's a
Pick which
podcast.
one.
Figure out which one's a podcaster.
You also Hunter Pence. We love Hunter Pence over here. If you go on over to YouTube and type in Hunter Pence Death Wish Coffee, him and his wife Lexi there did a review of our coffee a couple years ago. That's really funny.
I watched that. I didn't even realize he was like a professional athlete.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
I was wondering why I had so many views. I was
Yeah.
like, these guys are killing it.
He's turning 35 on Friday, and I'm hoping someday we get him on the show because
It'll happen.
I'd love to talk to Hunter about his whirlwind career in baseball, but also his love of all the stuff we love.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, why
All
not?
the stuff.
All the stuff. Also, Friday, April 13th, friend of the show, Mr. Ron Perlman is gonna be 68 years young.
This dude is a legend.
He really is a legend. I mean, you know him as Hellboy. You know him from Sons of Anarchy. You know him from Pacific Rim. You know him from the early... Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was.
With Charlie
Yeah,
Day.
Yeah.
You know him from the early 90s Beauty and the Beast when he was the Beast.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. You know him maybe from appearing on stage with Mr. Dustin over here.
Dude, I think the highlight of my entire life is getting fatherly advice directly from Ron Perlman.
Right, exactly.
That was insane. When it was going on, it was like, I can't believe this is this real life?
The highlight of my entire life, not really, but one of the highlights of my entire life is watching you and Ron Perlman do the can together, which was really fun. That was a panel that we got to do with everybody from Sons of Anarchy. That's Tommy Flanagan and Ryan Hurst there as well.
Look at Ryan Hurst. He's so regal.
Yeah, I know.
Regal Hurst.
But so happy birthday to both Ron and Hunter, Friday the 13th.
Woo!
And then we got another two coming up the same day, Sunday, April 15th. First up, the magical Emma Watson is going to be 28 years old. And the reason why I say magical is because you can't mention Emma Watson without mentioning Harry Potter. There she is as Hermione in the Harry Potter series. But she's had a great career. She appeared in the blockbuster The Circle this year, or last year, and she also is a huge proponent for the UN and doing a lot of stuff for them. Very, very smart woman. And also great on screen. I hope to see her in a lot more stuff. I hope she doesn't quit acting for good and just go into the politics of the world, because she's doing a lot of good stuff, but I do like to see her up there on the screen.
Man, I don't care.
I know you don't. I got one you care about, though. Sunday, April 15th, another youngin', turning 21 years old, Macy Williams. Macy is so much fun to follow on social media. If you guys don't follow her on social media, get on it. Man, she is hilarious. Her and Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones are the best of friends, and they just have the most fun on social media. Makes me want to up my social media game.
She is a killer actress.
She really is, and there she is as Arya Stark.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
you know the whole left-handed thing with Arya Stark, right?
I do not. Please tell me.
Oh, well, Macy pictured her character as a left-handed character.
It's never talked about in the books?
No.
Okay.
So she learned how to use the sword with her left hand.
Whoa.
Even though she's a right-handed person.
Well, it makes sense, especially when you're learning a new skill that you've never done. I mean,
Yeah.
if she'd already been good at the sword and then
Yeah.
tried to switch over, that'd probably be hard. But never being, a swordswoman like she is, I bet you it was just like, well, I gotta learn this somehow. I'll learn it with this hand.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts, though.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. That's pretty rad. But
Like she's always she's already into that style of acting at such a young age.
Yeah.
And actually, one kind of heartbreaking thing I heard from her, and I don't believe this whatsoever, but she was saying
I know what
something.
you're gonna say.
Yeah, she could never see herself as a leading actress because she doesn't think she's pretty enough.
I
I
disagree.
think that's insane.
And I think we're going to see her as a leading actress coming out of Thrones. In fact, I can't, as much as I'm sad that Game of Thrones will one day be over, I'm so excited for this young cast to just be let out into the world of acting, because so many of them have just been, this is who they are.
Yeah.
Like, this is who she is for the last 8 years.
And not only that, in real life, this is what they're doing.
Right.
They don't really have that much time to wrap themselves up in anything else. But the little things that we have seen from some of these actors from the show has been like, oh, man, these guys are going to kill it.
Yeah.
Who were we watching the other night on?
Rob Stark in
it was Electric Dreams.
Electric Dreams, yeah.
And he played a main character in one of those episodes, and it's like, dude, this guy could be Indiana Jones. He's such a strong lead male actor. He just kills it.
So happy birthday to both Macy and Emma on Sunday. Finally, Tuesday, April 17th, Maynard James Keenan is going to be 53 years old. And Maynard, are we getting a Tool album this year or what?
I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
I know. Oh, God. I am a big Tool fan. I know you are as well.
I'm not only a big Tool fan, but a Perfect Circle and Pussifer are just all top-notch music. And it's got to be because this guy is at the head of all of it. He's just his ability to create
melody,
haunting, like sticky melodies is just, it's unmatched.
It really is.
This guy's quite a unique personality on top of that.
And a unique voice. You know, there's very few voices that can do what he does in the range of what he does. I'm going to make an analogy that you're going to turn your nose up at, but
wait, okay, go ahead.
If you think of a voice like Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey, someone that can go multiple ranges and never crack, he can do the same thing. If you've listened to Tool or A Perfect Circle, he can get really low and then get very falsetto in the same breath, and you never feel like he's pushing either.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I make the analogy.
And he's got a lot of force, too,
Yes.
which is really intense.
Yes.
Oh, definitely one of my favorite voices of our lifetime.
Yes.
For sure. Do you think we'll see that Tool album?
I don't know. Maybe 2018, 2019.
If you had to put money on it?
If I had to put... No, God, no. No, I wouldn't put money on a new Tool album ever. Are you kidding me? And if we do get one, I'll put money on this. If we do get a Tool album, they're going to Beyonce that shit.
What do you mean?
We're just going to... We're going to wake up one morning and the whole Twitterverse will go, Tool's out! Like, they won't even tell anybody. It'll just be like, it's in your iTunes already.
I hope we get done recording the show.
And there it is.
Yeah. That'd be great. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Well, happy birthday to all of them. I want to roast something.
All right. But before we roast something, I can't believe you said kettleballs.
Kettleballs.
I want to roast you for saying kettleballs. Jesus, Jeff.
I smell a roast.
Does it smell like a locker room this week, bro?
All right, I got to roast this. It's in the news. It's been what everybody's been talking about. Maybe you haven't been talking about it. Maybe you don't give a shit. But I kind of do, and I know you do. So I wanted to bring it up. Conor McGregor. What the fuck? For real. If you don't know what happened, I'll get into that in a second. But I'm all for Conor, the way that he deals with himself in the sport that he does. I'm all for showboating. I'm all for, talk the talk, walk the walk. Be the spectacle. Be the guy who's everybody's camera, everybody's microphone wants to be on. I'm all for that. But when you cross a line and you break the law, I think that's bullshit. And I don't think there should be anything. I don't think there should be a conversation after that. And
to put it a little bit further, not just breaking the law, but this wasn't a victimless crime.
No.
This was people's livelihood. In fact, I mean, he was inches away from throwing a dolly through a window into the face of the women's bantamweight champion.
Yeah.
So into a woman's face.
So here's
just crazy, man.
So here's the backstory. UFC, what was the number of UFC?
223.
223 just was about to happen, and last week at a press conference, two of the fighters got into an altercation. One of them being, and you can correct me if I get this wrong, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov. Yeah, you
close.
were pretty much
I was
on
close. He slapped Artem Lobov during a press conference. And, I mean, things get heated like that, whatever. Now, Artem was part of Conor's crew of fighters. Like, Conor kind of, has his own stable of dudes now that all fight, under his banner kind of thing. And
probably had something to do with some crazy Russian shit, because
probably.
Even though Artem Lobov is fighting out of Ireland, he's
right.
technically Russian.
Right.
And, Khabib Nurmagomedov not Russian, but he's Dagestani,
Right.
which is right next door. So I watched a video of some of the altercations. Are yelling at each other in the hallway. And
Right.
You can see some people get
Which
heated, and it got split up.
Which isn't unique to the
No,
sport.
it happens
People
all the
do
time.
it all the time.
And on top of that, these guys are cutting weight. They're
Right.
miserable. They're hungry.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
tired.
All they want
and
is a
they're stressed
cheeseburger.
out.
Yeah.
They're stressed the hell out because they're
Yeah.
about to have the biggest performance of their life in a few days.
Right. So the story is that Conor and his entourage were in Ireland at the time, saw it happen, immediately boarded a plane and flew to New York City. Now the final press conference happened, and somebody, his teammate there, Lobov, got Conor and the rest of his entourage to be able to be back behind where he wasn't supposed to be in security. And here's a screenshot of what you were talking about, where him picking up a dolly and chucking it at a bus full of people. And to put this even more succinct point on this is a photo from the bus. That's terrifying, because if that went through the window, who knows what would have happened. But two fighters had to leave the card because of glass lacerations, one on his body and one on his eye.
Yeah. So when the thing broke through the window, there's almost like a dust that's produced, and it got in all the faces of a bunch of people, but mostly two fighters. One of the fighter was cut up pretty good, Michael Chiesa,
Yeah.
which sucks. I'm a big fan of Michael Chiesa. He's one of the nicest guys in the world, let alone the fact that he's a fighter. But then, yeah, he had to pull off the card, and Ray Borg had to pull off the card.
They had a bunch of problems with this card. People, it was days before this was supposed to go down.
I want to mention something, because
All right.
this is the roast, but this is not necessarily a roast for me, just against Conor McGregor. I think there's a few missing elements here, Jeff.
Okay.
One of them is, if this was not Conor McGregor putting up this stink
Yep.
in this parking garage,
Yep.
they would have tackled this motherfucker.
Okay.
They would have put him on, the security would have put him on the ground and stopped him immediately.
Okay.
And that's what I think they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was Conor McGregor does not mean he gets any special treatment. If he's in a place where he should not be and trying to make violent acts, he needs to be put down on the ground. Now, I don't mean fucking shoot him.
No, but restrained.
You see
period.
like 3 or 4 security guards kind of like, oh, stop it, Conor, stop. You don't see anybody like, they're much bigger than him. Yes, he's a UFC fighter, but he is a 155-pound man. They have 250-pound security guards that could easily have stopped him, but they didn't because he's Conor McGregor. Here's a second element that I think is missing,
All right.
and I think it's missing in a lot of these guys' lives, including guys like John Bones Jones, where they need somebody by them. These guys, they're ultimately amazing because they have a screw loose. Now, there's a lot of individuals that are physically talented, athletically gifted. They've got good managers as far as like timing their fights, and they've got a great legacy. But what puts them above the rest is that they have something a little bit wrong with them, and that's not a bad thing. It makes them do extraordinary things, right? These people almost need a caretaker around them.
Definitely.
Look at John Jones getting in a car, drunk, hitting a pregnant woman, and then once again being pulled over again and again
and
for
there's
driving
nobody
drunk.
next to him going, don't get in that car. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This guy, can you imagine the billions of dollars John Bones Jones has missed out on because there was not somebody next to him going, not a good idea. I have to put a stop to this.
Right.
How do you not have somebody like that next to these guys? You know they have a screw loose. You know this motherfucker has a screw loose.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with this guy, but that's what makes him amazing.
Yeah.
Let him be nutty. Let him be.
They need a Don King. They need somebody who is as crazy as them, but will be like, don't do that.
But the problem is
Yeah.
this guy's got a gang of 30 Irish dudes go, yeah, let's fuck him up. Let's do it. There's nobody going, hey guys,
Wait a
like
minute.
on the plane
Wait a minute.
from Ireland to New York, there wasn't one dude that was like, hey Conor, I think this might not be a good idea. I don't think we should actually be. There should be somebody to have some sort of veto power, some caretaker, some guy around him at all times he's making media appearances like this that can at least reach over and go, dude, look at what might happen if you follow through with this, or
Yeah.
actually put his hands out and stop him from going into an area like this because he doesn't belong there. I just think there's a few elements missing to stop these things from happening. I don't expect Conor McGregor or any cage fighting athlete to be a well put together individual.
No, God,
these are
no.
cage fighters. They're not politicians, and we don't even see politicians act correctly.
Right.
How do we expect cage fighters to act correctly? We shouldn't. We shouldn't. We should not put them on a sort of morality pedestal here.
Right.
They need help.
Yeah.
They need assistance. Conor McGregor needed somebody to go, dude, fucking think about it for a second.
And he got a warrant out for his arrest, and he turned himself in. And he is out now on $50,000 bail, and he could face up to 11 years in prison. He won't see a day. And kind of what you were saying, how the security didn't stop him because he was Conor McGregor. My roast of this is, why are we allowing someone like this with this stature to get away with something like this after the fact?
Well, there's a lot of things in play here, including diplomatic immunity.
Okay, fine, but that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is the UFC president, Dana White, immediately came out and condemned his actions, saying, it was deplorable what he did. And he hasn't commented, even being asked point blank, on if this will affect Conor fighting again. If this was anybody else, they'd never fight in the UFC ever again. Yet Conor's still on the table.
I don't know. We've seen John Bone Jones. He will be back on a card eventually. We've seen this before.
And just recently, just hours ago, Dana White says, and this is his actual quote, "We talking about Conor. It's good. I think that there's a mutual respect between us, and everything this week was thrown at me. I had so many things thrown at me. To focus on this show was insane. We'll get back, and we'll focus on Conor McGregor." So already he's walking back what he had said, and already Conor's getting a pass on endangering people. Now, this is what I want to bring up, and this is what's on a lot of people's lips. Is this the WWF? Is it? Is Dana White and Conor actually, is this premeditated?
No,
is this to sell tickets?
No, it's not.
It's
That's
not.
crazy. No.
All right.
Absolutely not.
So then why, if something this crazy happens, why isn't he immediately taking the stance of being like, he's done? Money.
$1 Million Man says it himself. Everybody's got a price, dude. And you're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Dana White is going to be the last person to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And yeah, it's deplorable, but he's not going to throw away billions of dollars. No, this was not planned. People who are just as important of Conor McGregor almost got demolished in this, including Rose Namajunas,
right,
who was sitting on the bus and almost got clobbered
right
by that dolly. And she is now the most famous female mixed martial arts fighter on the planet as it stands.
Right.
They would not jeopardize not only her career, but her life by having Conor McGregor throw a giant metal dolly through a bus window at her.
I just don't get it.
It's not set up, period. It's not set up, and I think it's kind of ridiculous that people are saying that. Yeah, it seems like wrestling, but wrestling is kind of a fictional version of what we're actually seeing play in front of us. It's what happens when you have all these dudes with screw loose and testosterone is raging. Everybody's grumpy because they're not eating, and it's just, you're gonna get drama like this.
Are we getting drama from this? This will be the last thing I say about this. Are we getting drama from this from Conor because Conor can't deal with not being in the conversation?
I'm sure that's a part of it. That's not
like nobody's talking about. He doesn't have a fight coming up. He's not. It's not Conor versus Floyd Mayweather anymore. He's not on every freaking sportscaster's lips. Does he have to be part of this?
You said it yourself. These guys talk the talk and walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
If Conor McGregor says, I'm going to beat the shit out of this guy, he's going to do whatever he can to beat the shit out of this guy.
Man.
It's not like he's thinking, well, I got to get in the headlines today.
Well, I think it's deplorable. I'm going to ask you point blank, as a fan of the sport, should Conor be allowed to fight?
I need to see it.
There you have it. I think that's going to be the conversation from everybody.
Selfishly.
Yeah.
I feel selfish about saying that.
Yeah.
Because I think if this, just like the security guards who wasn't tackling them.
Yeah.
It's Conor McGregor. I need to see him fight. He's one of the best fighters in the world. And I don't expect cage fighters to have high morals or good standards or, acting appropriately in public.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they should definitely put somebody around this guy. He should be punished.
Yeah.
He should be banned from the sport for at least a year.
Yes.
Is what I would like to see.
Yeah, I think he should be fined too.
Oh, he's definitely going to be fined. B, he's definitely going to get his ass suit off.
I hope so.
I hope so. There are charges filed from these
Right.
fighters who were injured during this. And you're talking about that, Michael Chiesa, he's probably looking at $100,000 down the tube just because he was not able to fight because Conor did this. Man. And that's just one fighter.
Man.
Think about, all the trainers that were working with this guy, all the promotion behind the fight that's just now out the window. The money lost on this action is just, that's another reason why I don't think it's set up, because Dana White lost a lot of money on this. Period.
Yeah.
Period. The amount of promotion he put behind some of these fights that never happened. It's insane. It's sad. It really is sad. I don't want to see these guys act like this.
Me either.
But I think, there definitely should be somebody babysitting this motherfucker now.
I agree.
Probably this guy should be put in by the UFC. Like, hey, if you want to fight in the UFC again, you got to keep this babysitter next to you.
Yeah.
That's almost like a what do they call that? When you get in trouble but you don't go to jail, you get probation.
Probation.
Right. He should be on a 5-year probation with a probation officer next.
I agree.
With a UFC appointed babysitter / probation officer next to him. That if he goes out for any media events or anything,
This person's right
in
with
the
them.
public, this person is right there next to him and has the power to say no, or you're out of the UFC.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I think they should handle it. But honestly, that's going out of the way for somebody who did something very horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, in the end, he's the best fighter in the world. What are you gonna do, man?
D-Man's Death Wish Update. Brought to you by Death Wish Coffee.
Alrighty, D-Man. As always, we got some juicy stuff to talk about, and we're starting with tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we're deciding to kind of make our merchandise options a lot more fun. And we've decided to start bundling up stuff, so if you have somebody, including yourself, that kind of needs something to become a full-blown Death Wish coffee drinker, this is the thing you need, and it's the Death Wish starter kit here.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of cool stuff with this.
So cool.
You get a unit of coffee, whether it be 1 pound whole bean, 1 pound ground, or 10-count death cups.
Yep.
You get the 2018 Death Wish mug.
The hammer.
You get the vacuum seal canister.
Yes.
You get the Reaper pin that we
Yes.
released a while ago, and you get a hat. So you make this one purchase.
The trucker hat.
Yeah, and you're able to just become Mr. or Mrs. Death Wish with just one purchase.
Yeah, and this bundle, in case you didn't miss that, is coming with the vacuum sealed canister. I love that vacuum sealed canister. I absolutely love it. So you can get this bundle however you drink your coffee, whole bean, ground, or K-cup, but I recommend getting it with that whole bean so you can really use the power of that vacuum sealed canister. Sure, the vacuum sealed canister will work great with your ground coffee. It won't really work good with your K-cups.
It'll work okay with your K-cups. You can throw your K-cups in that canister.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
In fact, I would even suggest it if that's the way you drink coffee and you have a canister. Throw them right, or that if you drink coffee with K-cups and you have a canister, just throw those K-cups in the canister, seal it up. That way, they're not getting hit by so much oxygen, and they stay fresher for a little bit longer. So it is still useful.
There you go. But we did this just recently with the Valhalla Java, and we did a starter pack with that, which can't thank you guys enough for pretty much selling that out. I mean, we've still got it, but some of the components are completely gone.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So
it's pretty insane.
So it's awesome. So we're hoping the same thing happens with this. This is the perfect, like you were saying, this is the perfect thing for yourself. If you want to treat yourself, or if you want to get somebody else on the Death Wish train, this is like the full kit. Here you go. You are now official.
Done.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
And what's cool is that you can't buy this Reaper pin.
No.
Like, this was a freebie from a while ago. It's a high-end freebie. These pins are really, really neato. Especially, I really like that Reaper pin.
Yeah, me too.
It's really badass. But so it's has a little exclusivity to it, which is awesome.
So get on that starting tomorrow.
So I'm sure you all enjoyed your bandana freebie. It was a smashing success. We saw a lot of them go out the door, which is awesome. It seems like a lot of people are really happy with them. So a lot of people are wondering, Jeff, what is the next freebie?
I don't know if this is exactly the next freebie. We might do a freebie before this.
No.
Maybe. No, this is the absolute next freebie. Here it is.
You see, I should have asked myself.
Should have asked yourself. I'll put up nice pictures of these so you guys can see them, but we're doing a 4-coaster set for free for you guys, and it's awesome. 2 memes. One, I'm on this new diet where I drink coffee instead of biting people. I think that's a good diet. And then the only person I'm talking to before my coffee is my dog. I also like that as well. And then,
but you don't have a dog. Who are you talking to?
Somebody else's dog. And then our picture of our awesome 2018 hammer with a little dry ice coming out of it. And our 1-pound bag, which looks good on any surface.
Including brick, apparently.
Including brick. I was there when that picture was taken.
I'm special.
I'm special. But yeah, so this is a great little freebie. You know, they're sturdy. They're nice. You'll be able to spill stuff on them if you need, but they keep your surfaces nice. And go for it. Yeah, see? Not absorbent, but...
I don't think it's supposed to be.
No, it's not supposed to be.
You did a good job, Coaster.
Now we got a mess. Mess.
No, look, it's soaking it in.
Ooh, science. But yeah, we're really excited about that. That'll be a handful of weeks from now. I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks. That'll be the freebie. We'll let you know when it gets closer, and it'll be like we normally do the freebies that day. Any order, we'll get these with their order, and if you're a subscriber, when your next subscription will contain that freebie.
Right. So somebody said to me the other day, "Hey, Dustin, your diner mugs at Death Wish Coffee are pretty neato." Well, I said to them, "Dude, they're running out soon. You might want to buy them."
And stop saying neato.
Actually, none of that conversation transpired. I made that all up to segue into this. If you were looking to get this diner mug set, purchase it soon. It's going to be out of stock within probably the month, according to my calculations.
Yeah, they'll be all gone, and we're never doing those ever again. Ever.
But it's true, but also not true. It's true in the fact that we won't be doing that exact diner mug again. But I would like you to know that we will eventually be releasing another diner mug set with some new, cool, trendy memes.
Yeah, we love doing the memes on the mugs because, I mean, they're just fun. You get to drink your coffee and also tell people how you feel.
Yeah, it's pretty neato.
Maybe swearing will help. That was one of our recent ones. But again, the memes that are on the mugs right now, when those are gone, those are gone.
Yeah.
And then we're coming out with a brand new set. Same company, same awesome styles.
Pretty much, we personally love the diner mugs. We see that you guys are buying them up, so you must love them too. So it's something that we plan on continuing, but it's still exclusive. The ones that you are buying are limited and will always be limited. So if you don't have the ones that we are selling right now, excuse me, coffee burp. Okay, better. Woo. If you do not have the ones that we are selling now and you do desire them, we are not releasing them again. Get them now. Get them now. But what I am also saying is that get them later too, because we're coming out with new ones.
That's for sure.
And that's all the update for now.
That's all the update. Tune in next week, guys, for more news from Death Wish Coffee.
And that's the show, everybody.
That's the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our new time. Hopefully you dug it. Let us know. One last time, share this feed. Comment, share it in those comments. We're going to give one lucky winner this 2017 mug right here.
Mwah.
Kiss of luck, kiss of death. A little bit of both. We'll sign the bottom. We'll send it right out to that one lucky winner. We give away a mug every single episode, so make sure you tune in again next week. Next week, we will be back on Wednesday again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to try this out for a few weeks, see how it feels, see how it fits. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can follow us on social media. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of the company. Especially follow him on Instagram. He gets some really sneak peeks type stuff on your Instagram.
And also you can give us some feedback. So if you have any negative feedback at Jeff Wish Coffee.
That's me.
If you have any compliments or positive feedback, send it this way to Death Wish Dustin.
That's how you do it. It's that easy, guys. Thanks again for watching. Tune in tomorrow for the really incredible conversation we had with musician Dave Kushner, and that'll be up everywhere tomorrow, and we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m., with another show.
Cheers.
Bye.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.